What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and today I can't do anything but laugh. I've got all these things torn apart. The poor Trans Am, I know you guys want to see me work on. You want to see me work on the OBS. You want to see me work on the green truck. And the plan was to put the Trans in the green truck once I got my dad's SSR done. Well, it's done, and here we are fixing our daily driver. Now, we're gonna do quite a few things here, and I'm gonna do it all at one time. Now, I may break it up into multiple videos because there's so much, and you're gonna see that here in a minute, but I'm to the point now, guys, where it honestly might have been better to just fix the black truck out there and paint it than it is to do this. And maybe put the Silverado front end on it. I don't know, I bought two turds is what I would call it. And I just trying to get them to my level. You know, my level is completely different, I think, than most people's. Like, my level is that green truck right there. That is what I want. And I don't know why I want that for a daily driver. I guess I could have just drove the green truck daily, but I want this truck that nice. And I think eventually it will get there, but it's just got some hiccups in the road right now, and I'm gonna show you. So I was driving this thing daily. And you guys know I swapped the wheels here recently, and I do like the wheels. It does look a lot better, but some things have been driving me nuts. First off, the cam. And I mentioned this in the wheel video, but the cam is entirely too big. It's designed for a 3,000 pound or less car that is a power glide and way up in the RPM range. So you can imagine on a NA truck, it does nothing. It has no bottom end torque. As a matter of fact, if I got out here and just stood on it, I don't even think it'd roll the tires over. It's that gutless down low. So I'm gonna pull the cam out. So we're gonna be doing that. The other thing that was an issue is the fact that it's ridiculously loud, and you're gonna get to see this hodgepodge exhaust that looks terrible down here. I'm gonna show you guys that. We're gonna go under the truck here in just a second. I found a couple other things that I don't like. The rear of the transmission is leaking, so I was leaking trans fluid all over. The front of the oil pan is leaking, probably because whoever installed the cam did a shoddy job, and I'm just not gonna sugarcoat it. This thing's a turd, and we're gonna fix the issues that's wrong with it. We're gonna fix it the right way. We're not gonna just like half do it. That's just not my style. So either way, let's take a look under here, and the first thing you're gonna see is, and one of the reasons I actually think this truck will be a decent one, there's no rust on it. It's got some chips here and there, but there's no rust, okay? And you guys may or may not know, the black truck out there has one little spot right here, about in the middle of the door, and it's really a good time to fix it. I decided to not fix it for now because I'm gonna be selling it. But this truck is solid as far as like no rust. It does have its share of paint issues, which we will address at some point. I'm not as concerned about that as I want a dependable truck. So let's get under here and look at what kind of mess we've got. So the very first thing I'll start with is the rear of the transmission. So I'm pretty sure that our bearing is out. These have an actual bearing in the back as well as a seal. So I ordered an entire tail shaft. It's just the very back piece here, so we're going to be replacing that. You can see that the trans mount has seen better days. It looks absolutely atrocious, and it needs to be replaced. We will be doing that as well. So on to the exhaust. Check out this awesome welding job. So we've got some I don't even know what to say about this. It goes back into a single or dual inner and single exit Flowmaster. It is ridiculously loud. Look at how bad this welding job is. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that. So, okay, so those are a couple issues. Well, then we move up here and look at all the oil, and it's actually coming from the front of the pan. I'm assuming that whoever did the cam install just did a really shoddy job. They probably just pulled the pan down to get the oil pump in, and it's generally just leaking on the front side of the pan, but it leaks quite a bit. And so on to the next thing that I just saw, and that is we have speaker wire running to the input or output. I don't even know yet because I can't get up here. There's so many zip ties and crap just jammed in here. This is not the way to do it, guys. This is not a good job. And so we're gonna fix it. I'm going to take, that converter looks nasty. Look how bad that converter looks. I'm pretty sure it's a stock converter. But we're gonna fix all of these issues. That speaker wire just cracks me up. That is really, really not the way to do a 480 swap. I'm assuming because it looks like it has an output and an input, I believe that's the way the 480 works. It has 2 inputs or 2 outputs, I don't remember. But actually, I'll show you over here on the one on the ground. So when you do a segment swap, which is not generally the way I do a 480 swap, it comes with new pins to run to the computer, and that's this guy here. You have 2 different ones. So I don't remember if we use the back one. We'll get into that when I do the swap on my green truck, but we won't be using one of those. Either way, speaker wire is not what you use. Go get the actual wire. So either way, we're gonna fix all this stuff. I'm gonna be putting another cam in it. We'll talk about what cam I decided to go with. I'm gonna take the dual springs out. I'm pretty sure, well, I'm hoping as ginormous as this cam is, it has dual springs. We're gonna be swapping the springs out. We're gonna fix the oil leak. We're gonna fix the exhaust with some headers and a Y pipe and probably a stock catback, so it's not ridiculously loud. But let's get started. What I'm going to start with, I think, is I'm gonna get my, I don't even know where to start. I think I'm gonna try to take the exhaust off first. So we may just cut a majority of it because it's garbage anyway, and just throw it away. But let's get under here and see if any of it will actually unbolt. I went ahead, you see the WD-40 here. I sprayed the 3 bolts on the header flange. Maybe we'll get lucky and that'll come out, but I seriously doubt it. But let's try. So guys, the very first thing I completely forgot to tell you before we get under to start chopping exhaust, I did unhook the battery. I completely forgot to tell you that. You do need to unhook the battery. Anytime you're messing with any kind of electronics, it's always a good idea. So I do have the battery unhooked. So let's get under here, and I think I'm gonna get my Sawzall out and we're gonna start cutting in a couple spots to make it a little easier once I do. If I can get those unbolted, that might make it a little bit easier on me, so I'm not trying to wrangle these big pieces of pipe out. So what I'm gonna start with here is I'm gonna see if I can get these O2 sensors out. I'm just using a 7/8 wrench. I went ahead and unplugged them out there on the outside. They're on the outside of the frame on the new body style. I guess I better get a 7/8 wrench instead of this 22. Either way, but I've got them unplugged, both front and back. I don't really know why it has back, because it doesn't have cats. Maybe they just didn't want to weld up the holes. And, you know, for good reason. I wouldn't want them welding any more than what they've already done here. So I'm gonna grab the 2 out of the front for sure. I'll probably go ahead and take the back ones out just in case I ever have to have them down the road, but I won't be using them on the new setup. But either way, let's get those out of place. Well, good news and bad news. All of them came out except one. So at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and just start doing some cutting. I've got my Sawzall here. Let's see if we can cut it like right in this area right here, and then maybe a couple other spots. Actually, it might be better to start right here and then cut that later. I don't know, we'll start right here. Maybe a new blade. There's one. So I'm thinking with this spot cut here and it cut here, I should be able to take what looks like a 15 that they've got as a makeshift holder back there out and get this exhaust out of the way at least. Well, we've got it loose. I don't know if it'll thread out. We're gonna see here. I think we may just be shy of getting it out. Ooh, that's good. Somebody will buy this Flowmaster, I'm sure. It's in okay shape. I don't want it, but I bet somebody will buy it. Okay, we got that out. Looks a lot better already. So let's move on to see if we can get the bolts out that hold these headers or the Y pipe to the header. I'm gonna tell you guys, those are gonna be tough. I'm gonna go get my impact and we're just gonna see. That's the O2 sensor I couldn't get out, the first one I started with, but maybe we'll get lucky here. All right guys, I've got my 15 on my impact. What's your guess? I'm gonna guess they're not gonna come out. I'm gonna guess I'm not that lucky. Okay, first one came out. Let's really do this one next. Not sure how tight they were. Looky there. Woo! All right, guys, there's a whole bunch of metal in that. So we got that one off. That's good. That'll make life a little easier on me when I'm taking the manifold off the engine. So let's go to the other side. All right, what's your guess on this side, yay or nay? I'm gonna say this side's gonna come loose too because that side did so well. I'll probably make a liar out of me. Ooh, the whole stud's coming out on this side. That's not good. Not good. One of three. Well, that's not terrible. I still think we can get this other one out though. I'm gonna take my swivel off. I might be able to get up in there directly and we'll see. Well guys, we got lucky on one side, unlucky on the other. This, the whole stud started spinning and it's all messed up, so there's no way it's coming out. Which is fine, it's not a big deal. I'll just take the whole manifold and all loose. But what I think I am gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and Sawzall right there, get more of this pipe out of the way. That way I'm not fighting as much when it does come out. So I'm gonna saw that and then we'll start looking around at some other stuff here. Not sure where I wanna go next. We'll just have to see. So I figured we'd go ahead and get the oil out. Let it be draining, because we're gonna do an oil change. I'm gonna take the pan loose, so because I'm taking the pan loose, it just makes sense to take the oil out. And I'd like to let it drain as long as possible because the more I get out, the less I have to deal with once I get the pan off. That is pretty tight there. 15 millimeters what I'm using. We'll get that going. And then what I think I'll do is I'm gonna start this speaker wire over here is zip tied like in 100 places. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it loose, at least all the zip ties anyway. The oils, he did say that he changed the oil right before I bought it. And look, I don't think the owner that I bought this from did a majority of this work. I think he either had somebody do it or it was done by the prior owner. Pretty sure he said the cam was done by the prior owner. So I don't blame that. It's just like, if you're gonna do something, do it right. So I'm gonna let that drain. I'm gonna go ahead and chop all these, golly, this electrical tape. I'm gonna chop the 4,000 zip ties off and kind of see what we've got once I get those out of place. I'll show you guys up in here once I get them cut loose. So while all that oil was draining, I did go ahead and take everything loose right here. So all the electrical connections, the shift linkage. There's supposed to be a 13 in the front and the back of that controller box that sets on your shift linkage. 15 millimeter in their center. There was only one 13 there. There was about 7 zip ties holding that together there. But all the electronics are unplugged, including the front speed sensor, which is what is right here and has our speaker wire hooked to it. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure something out there. The other thing I noticed while I was down here is one of my header bolts is broken off, which is pretty common on these things. I'm hoping that's the only one. I'm not sure if we're gonna attempt to fix that. If I can get to it, I might. But either way, we're past that point. I'm gonna let this thing drain, quite a bit more before I go taking the pan off. But I'm gonna go ahead and take out the the drive shaft. So we just got 11 millimeters right here. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen all those up, get the drive shaft out of place because we are gonna need that to move on to the tail shaft housing. And I think that's my next step here. I'm gonna try to do some, as much stuff on the bottom as I can before I drop it down and like take the headers off and get to the front part of the motor. Well guys, let me show you some exciting things I found out here. So took the caps off. For one, I thought I broke one of the bolts. It was that loose. Two of them were like that actually. So this is interesting because I got them off right. Normally we would pry this forward and that would push into the transmission. We can get it out, kind of thread it back and so on. Well, it won't go forward because it is maxed out. It is actually won't go any further than what it is right now. So another interesting thing is, watch this. You see that movement? That rear bearing is definitely trashed. So I've got a conundrum here. So I got two options. I can loosen the entire rear end up. So leaf packs and all, and slide the rear end back enough to get this out. But I'm not sure if that's the direction I want to go. The other option is I could just cut this thing in half and have a new one made. I actually have an extra drive shaft laying around, so I was gonna have this one rebalanced when I put this back together anyway, just because I don't know who made this, if they just put an end on it, don't really know that. So that may be the option that I go. Not really sure yet. So since I'm not sure, I don't have the rear part of the transmission anyway, and I actually don't have the mount. I thought I did, but it's the wrong one. I think what we'll do is we're gonna drop it down and go ahead and go under the hood and maybe start taking the headers off. But yeah, I've got some thinking to do as far as which method I wanna do. It's obviously on the lift, it's a ton of work to do this. If they were on the ground, or if I had a jack shaft or like a rolling jack pad here, maybe a little easier. I don't know, guys. I'm really thinking about just chopping this stupid drive shaft in half. I don't know. We'll think about it. Either way, we're gonna set this thing down and get up top and see what kind of stuff we can take off up top. Okay, new plan. I've decided I'm gonna see if we can take this all apart and maybe letting the transmission down, taking the cross member out, letting the trans down might swing it enough to give me the angle I need to pull the drive shaft out. I think it's wishful thinking, but we're gonna try. So what we're gonna need, looks like a 15 here. As a matter of fact, although this is the hard way, I put a ton of pressure on this. Look at that transmission mount. It is completely destroyed. And with good reason, guys. If this thing is pushing up against it, we'll be lucky if it didn't wreck the output shaft. Maybe we'll get lucky. I'm probably gonna replace the yoke, but I don't know, guys. This is what I'm talking about, like just doing stuff right, which you're gonna see on the green truck, but you're gonna see here too, but you're gonna see from start to finish right on the green truck. I think these are 21s, so I'm gonna go grab my 21 and we'll see if we can get those out, and then we'll just slowly crank this down and see what happens. Okay, guys. I think I was wrong. Well, I'm getting some room because I can see the drive shaft's kind of shiny. I think we're to the end. Okay, let's see. Oh. We're out! Okay, that worked. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this thing out. Let's see. We may crank it back up. Yeah, I think I'm gonna crank it back up a little bit because it's dragging. This is not where I wanted the trans, to lift the trans up, but really I had to thread the trans jack under, or the transmission mount around the lift. Either way though, That's what I wanted. Sometimes if you sit and think about things, you can figure out other methods. So, let's see if this will come out now. Yeah, it's not very long. I wonder if this is a bolt-on. Makes me wonder if this is like a bolt-on yoke transmission. It is. That's the problem. Okay, so they make two types of 4L80s. They make a bolt-on yoke, which requires this guy to be countersunk. Holy cow, they just jaggedly cut. Look how much, not a ton of thread engagement there, guys. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get one that's counterbored to make this work. This is what happens when you get the yoke. There's a bolt-on yoke option, which on the bolt-on yoke option, you have your expansion or your movement is in your drive shaft. On these guys, or on the ones that I have, the 4L60 without the threaded hole in the end of it, it's just a standard slip yoke, so you don't have to worry about that. Now you can put a slip yoke on these. The problem is you'll see once I get this off, there's a shaft on there that doesn't allow it to go in as far. So either way, we got it out. I'm gonna go ahead and put the cross member back in place because I don't want a ton of stuff dripping out of the back of this, but oh God, you see that? It's not good, guys. I think this is probably trash, the bearings. We'll just have to see. All right, well, we're gonna move on. Like I said, I'm gonna put that back in place, and we'll have to do some research, talk to a couple trans guys and see what they think about that amount of play right there. But that's from that pressure of this thing bottoming out and not sliding like it's supposed to. So I have a bad feeling that this is gonna be a problem. So now that we found that mess, let's go on here. We're gonna take this cross member out of the way. Try to get it loose anyway. It should be 18 millimeters. So you got an 18 here on both sides, and then there's a 15 in this hole. I fought this for a while on the pewter truck when I pulled the motor out. I couldn't figure out for the life of me why I took these 18s out and it wouldn't come out, because there's a 15 that goes up in the top, and that's why. So let's get these out of the way, or see if we can. I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to. Generally, they're not too bad, and they're completely soaked in oil, so. Should come out. By the way, guys, my impact, the keeper sticks, so I try to put it where the little ball isn't. Try to put it where the little ball isn't catching. That's why it comes off each time. So if you're wondering, like, sometimes it catches, sometimes it doesn't. Man, this working on the lift stuff. Guys, I haven't done this like almost the whole time I've had this lift. So recently. Now let's get a 15. If I can find it. I thought it was right here close. See if we can get that out of there. Hopefully we can get to them. They're incredibly hard to see. See what I'm talking about, those 15s? Let's see if we can hold it up. I don't feel like it's gonna fall out. I feel like it's kind of one of those halfway pry out things, but there we go. Look how much access this gives us to the oil pan. Really, the only thing hindering us at this point would be the steering rack, but even it, guys, I don't think that's gonna cause us any issues. We'll be able to access all our bolts and just pull this thing out of here. Now we got this thing on the ground, and we're gonna start taking off stuff that I want out of my way in order to do what I want to do. So we're gonna start with an 8mm here, get this engine cover off. I'm gonna be taking quite a bit of stuff out of the way, and I'm gonna show you guys through the whole process, because I've had a couple people reach out to me and say, hey, here recently it seems like maybe you've just been, you know, saying what you're gonna do and not really showing it. So I'm gonna try to show as much as I possibly can, guys, you know, with camera angles and whatnot. But got that out of the way. The next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go grab, it's got a couple zip ties here. I'm gonna cut and get this cold air intake out of the way. I think this truck will be faster when I get all the zip ties off of it. That's how many there are. Unbelievable amounts of zip ties on this truck. Which, guys, look, sometimes zip ties are okay, but this is I don't know, just not very good placement. Looks like we got a connection here we need to get loose. I'll go get my, maybe I can pull this out. There we go. We're gonna unplug our mass airflow. We should be able to snake this out of here. Now that we got that intake out of the way, I'm gonna use a 15mm and we're gonna take the belt off. And so I'm gonna slide it off one of these pulleys up top here. There we go. And then it should come on out. I'm actually gonna buy a new belt. This one doesn't have any cracks in it, but the black truck out there needs a new belt. And I figured since I'm putting this together, we might as well do it. The air conditioner belt down there below, you can just use the center. So generally a 3/8, sometimes it's a 1/2 inch, maybe a 3/8 on this, I don't remember. Yeah, it's 1/2 inch. So we'll go get a 1/2 inch drive and swing that one out of the way. And I'm not gonna show you guys that because I don't think you're probably able to see down there, but there is a connection right here. See if I can show you. Right here, where you can get a standard, actually, you know what, it is 3/8. Getting this off with one hand might be easier said than done, but there we go. So we'll get this belt out of the way. I have to use two hands down here, guys. I'll get it out of the way and then we will move on. I'm gonna go ahead and take the radiator shroud here out of the way. This thing does have an electric fan on it, which, believe me guys, makes your life a lot easier. But I'm gonna take this guy out of the way so I can see if I can get that electric fan off. It's got a pretty decent shroud. You know, that's what I don't understand sometimes when you see people build stuff. They use some decent parts. Now, not the method that I would have used. It's just a single fan and it runs all the time. I would have tapped into the PCM like I did on my green truck, but it's a decent looking piece. But either way, I'm gonna see if I'm gonna get this off of here, and then we will see what we need to do to get it out of place. Hoping it's not much. But I don't know how it goes in there yet. And then my least favorite thing to do will be draining the radiator, because inevitably we're gonna get some on the ground. And then I'll spend probably 15 minutes off camera cleaning because I won't stand around in antifreeze. All right, I got that out of there. Let's see how this bolts in here. Oh, it's screwed. Oh. Bummer. It's like sheet metal screwed to the top of the radiator. Crap. Okay, well, I don't know if it sets in the channel on the bottom. I assume it does. Maybe it has screws on the bottom too. Nope, there's just 1, 2, 3, 4 sheet metal screws across the top of the radiator. So I guess we'll just take those out. I don't know any good way to show you guys that. And see if we can, there is a plug on it at least. It's not hardwired in. And we'll get that shroud out of the way. I'll show you what these look like when I get them out of here, but they're just the 8mm that I use to take the center of the cover off the top of the motor. It fits it, so. Okay, I'm sick of doing this the hard way. I'm gonna go grab my electric impact. Look, they're self-tapping. This should make it a little faster. Oh my gosh. I'm hoping they go back in the same spot. You can see that it's, it's not a terrible piece. I don't know what kind of fan it is. Looks like a spa fan or something. I don't like the bottom of it. Check out that jagged cut on the bottom. We may not go back together with this, guys. We'll see. Like I said, it's mediocre at best. All right. I'm really dreading, I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm really dreading draining the alternator. Some of these newer trucks, okay, this one does at least have a drain in the bottom. So I'm gonna set up a drain. Show you guys, take you off this here for a second and show you guys what it looks like down there. Down here in the very corner. And like I said, some of the newer ones, my new replacement one for the green truck didn't have that. Right here is a drain. There, you can see it a little better. Right here. So you twist this and you put something underneath it, and there's generally a hole, and actually there's a drain right here. You see this guy? Tucks up along the side, and generally we can put that into a drain pan. This is terrible lighting, guys, I know. Put that into a drain pan and hopefully get, not make as big a mess. So I don't know if you guys can hear that draining. If it doesn't want to drain, go over here and open this up. That'll allow air to get in there. And just kind of set it. And we'll see. I think it'll take a while, but that's fine. We can do other things while that's going on. The next thing I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and yank the plug wires off. So you should just be able to pull straight down. It does have some aftermarket plug wires on it. I think they're Speed Engineering. Not a terrible plug wire. I don't know what the resistance is or anything about them. I've never used them. But get them out of the way. And we'll probably go ahead and pull the plugs out after that, would be my guess. That's the one cool thing about LS motors, guys, is the plug wires are ridiculously short, easy to access. These cars are pretty easy to work, or these cars, everything LS is easy to work on. I'm gonna have to put my right hand in here to get that one out. So on the spark plugs, you're gonna need a couple things. So a 5/8, a lot of times you don't have enough room to just get the 5/8 spark plug socket in there. I've got a little short adapter, and then I've got your standard like 3-inch adapter. For the most part, I will tell you guys, like on Trans Ams and stuff, I use this guy all the time. Once I get them loose, it gives me enough to grab onto to unscrew it. And very rarely do I have to use the 3-inch. So we're gonna start, we'll just start right here in this guy. And sometimes people tighten them way too tight. That felt pretty tight. Like I said, once you get them started, generally that's enough to grab onto. It really works well in tight areas where you don't have enough room to just get the socket on. What do these plugs look like? Oh my gosh, they're not great. So we'll be putting plugs in it too. They're Delcos. They're not original. They're not the worst I've seen. So this is one of the things, guys, I won't make you watch. This side's relatively easy. The only one that might give you a fit is the back one on the other side. Holy cow, that's way too tight. I think these are supposed to torque to like 11 millimeter or 11 foot-pounds. Something crazy low like that, maybe 18. This feels like 50. And you're just going into aluminum. And it doesn't look like they have any anti-seize on them, which you would want to do as well. Holy cow, that one's pretty oil fouled. Or at least there's a lot of oil on it. Learning lots of stuff, guys. So anyway, like I said, I won't show you the rest of these. We'll get them out, and then we'll move on to the coil packs. All right, I told you I was moving to the coil packs, but actually I'm gonna take this, I don't know if you guys see this guy here. This is a, I don't know, some sort of catch can off of Amazon or something, I don't know. We're gonna take that off there. And at least we're gonna attempt to. And it's hooked in a couple places. Oh, there went my screw. It's hooked on the back, on that valve cover back there, so we're gonna pull it off. The other end is hooked to the throttle body, so we're gonna pull it off and get it out of the way. So you can see more of a water separator almost. That's all that's in there. Either way, it's out of there. Now I think we can go on and see if we can unplug the coil packs and get them out of the way. Now I want to try to get some of this wiring out of my way. This one was already unhooked, maybe broken, I don't know, but I'm going to unhook this guy. I'm just using a flathead screwdriver here, guys, prying this apart. And it's not going to give me a ton of room, but I just want a little bit of slack in this line. So let's go over here and look at the coil packs and what we've got going on here. So we're going to go ahead. There's a main harness here in the center. You see the blue plug, or the blue safety. Undo the safety, and then we're gonna unclip this, and the coil pack is now undone. You don't have to undo individual coil packs. So once we have that, there's a series of 10 millimeters. So you can see one right here. They'll have a head on them. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Get this one out. They have a head on them like that. So there should be about 5 to 6 of them, depending on if it's been apart and they put them all back in. We're gonna go ahead and get all those off, and then we'll have this out of the way. We'll be able to just lift this whole coil pack, the wiring, and all off as one unit. So kind of as I suspected, from the laziness I've seen on the rest of the truck, this back one wasn't on there. Which, look, on a Trans Am, you don't have to have it, but on a Trans Am, this is a really tough one to get to. On a truck, it's not really hard at all. So we're gonna go do that exact same thing on the other side. Now that we have the coil pack off on this side, before we take the manifold off, I need to get to this 15 millimeter. And I've got a ratcheting wrench. Sometimes that works, sometimes you need a socket. I just thought I'd be able to show you guys more if I use the ratcheting wrench. It's generally not real tight. But once we get that loose, then we can just yank straight up on the dipstick tube. Of course, it's gonna make a liar out of me here, guys. You can see, I think some of my rattle, this is loose. Some of those have backed out. Once we get this out of the way, we should just be able to pull straight up on the dipstick tube and get it out of the way here. Trans tube came with it. You know why? Because they're freaking zip tied together. Oh my gosh. All right, well, the trans tube needs to be replaced anyway. It's just bent to crap down there. So I'm gonna cut this zip tie and then we'll have these out of the way. Check out this dipstick tube. So as opposed to going to your local parts store or GM, where I would go, and getting one that actually fits a 4L80, they just bent the crap out of this one. And look at the seal for the transmission. So heck, it could have been leaking there too. It doesn't look like it was, but guys, this is not the way to do things. Look, they broke this off so it would fit. So we're gonna order a new one of those as well. I actually have one. This is the routing it should be right here. Look at the difference. Like, not even close. So actually we'll probably just clean that one up and use it because this is going in the Trans Am. That isn't gonna fit. So either way, we got this out. So now let's move on to the header bolts. So the header bolts are 10 millimeter, and a lot of times on these 5.3s, they're broken off. And on this side, it doesn't look like any of them are broken off. You can see them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. They're pretty rusty looking. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen those. And what I like to do, guys, is I like to use my ratcheting wrench. I have a 10. It makes it really easy. We're gonna start our way back in the back. So on that guy back there, and work our way towards the middle, leaving our middle ones for last. Just because they're the easiest, I'll leave one in the middle, and that's what I'll probably cut to. I'll go ahead and take these loose. And when I'm to that spot, I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I leave the middle one because it's easy to hold while you take out the last one. So you can see, guys, the only one I have left is the middle one. I will tell you that one broke on me. The very back one, you see that? And what sucks is it broke below where I'm gonna be able to grab it. So you can see it broke on the threads, which absolutely sucks. That means to do this right, I'm gonna have to pull that head off because I'm not gonna be able to have room to get in there. I don't think there'll be any of it sticking out. We'll see once we get the manifold out of the way, but at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and get that one completely out, and we'll have the manifold off. So guys, I've got that out of the way. It's over here on the floor, and I was able to pull it out the top here because I didn't have any piece of pipe on it. But this leaves me with the real dilemma, guys. Do I just run with the 5, which is not like me, but I really don't want to pull the heads off. It's just, there's just so much more involved to pull the heads off. I really don't want to do that. I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna contemplate that. We're gonna go to the other side and get the manifold off over there. It's probably gonna have to come out of the bottom just because the steering column's here. I do know that the back one on this is busted off too. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna have to think about this. We'll decide. I'm gonna go ahead and knock that manifold off. I won't show you guys that. Same process, except it's gonna come out of the bottom. And then we'll have to move on to unhooking some radiator hoses. Well, I came over here and got this side out, and I told you guys that the back bolt was broke off. Well, the front one, guess what it did? Check that out. So here's my dilemma. I can't put this back together the wrong way. It's beyond me. I can't do it. I won't do it. And that's just not the way I work. So I've got a couple options, and I'm gonna give you guys at the end of this video an option, and I want you to let me know in the comments what you think I should do. But we got two options, and like I said, we'll talk about that more towards the end of the video here. But I want to keep going, taking stuff apart. The next thing I'm going to do is we're going to take loose the upper radiator hose, which I will just use a pair of pliers on that. Same thing, there's a line that runs in right here behind the throttle body, a pair of pliers to get that loose. And then there's 3 actual pieces here that go to the water pump. So you've got this guy, the lower radiator hose. Now you have 2 options here. I think probably what I will do is I'm gonna take off the actual thermostat housing, which is 2 10 millimeters. I'm gonna take those 2 out. And then you have your heater core, which are 2 clamps also. So you can see those here and here. So I'm gonna take all those clamps loose, get that stuff out of the way. Probably gonna make a little bit of a mess. I'm gonna move my drip tray back a little bit so at least you know what does come out drips down onto the drip tray. But let's get those out of the way, and then I'll kind of show you where we're at as far as progress goes. So you can see now we've got a little bit of a mess. Oh, I forgot to get this one. Okay, I'll get that here in just a second. But anyway, I went ahead, like I said, and I took the thermostat housing out, and then I just threaded my 10s back in there. What I'm gonna do now, though, is I'm gonna go ahead and take the 3 15s. There's one here, here, and here to get this idler out of the way. You don't have to do this. I'm gonna be taking the water pump out, obviously, but I'm just gonna take it and move it out of the way. It's just less to clank around on stuff and hit stuff. So just some 15s there, and then, like I said, that one more clamp to get that guy off. Now that we have those 2 things out of the way, I just set those to the side. We can go ahead and get our water pump out. So we've got 1, 2, 3 bolts there. They're kind of in a triangle, and you have the exact same thing on the other side. And you can get to them without taking the power steering pump or this big bracket off the side of the engine. So we're gonna do that with my little electric impact. They shouldn't have a ton of torque on them, but we don't know, based on the looks of everything else, you know, kind of what happened here. So let's go ahead, get those off, and then we'll be able to have the water pump out of the way at that point. And we're probably gonna make a really big mess then. I've already got a little bit of a mess down there. Not too terribly bad, something I could clean up relatively quickly because we drained out a majority of our antifreeze. But you're still gonna have some in the block that's going to wanna, you know, come out as we take the water pump off. Believe me, we're gonna get some. As you can see, we got the water pump off, and yeah, guys, it came out relatively easy. They didn't seem to be too tight, too loose, seemed to be about right. But now we're gonna see if my impact will take the harmonic balancer bolt out. I got a fresh battery, and we're gonna zap it with, it's a 24 millimeter in the center there. We're gonna zap it and see if it will. I don't think that it's strong enough to do it, but the fact that it's been out before, maybe, just maybe we'll be able to. If not, what we'll have to do is we're gonna have to lift it back up and take the starter out, and we're gonna put my little stop. I've got a little flywheel stop that screws in place of a starter on an LS motor, and we're gonna have to use a big old breaker bar, which isn't my favorite method, but you know, it has to be done. So let's just hit it with the impact and see what happens. I really wish there was a way to clamp you guys somewhere so you could see this go down, but just trust me, 24 millimeter on the center, no extensions. Let's see. Nope, not happening. I kind of thought that would be the case. You know, some people say that they have a 1/2 inch impact that'll take a crank bolt out of an LS. This one is not having it. It's not happening. If you guys have one that'll do that, let me know what it is in the comments down below, but it would have to be pretty stout. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to lift this thing up, put the stopper in the flywheel, and then we'll have to use a breakover bar to get it loose. Not a huge deal, you know, it's just more to do. But I think we're effectively gonna be finished today, guys. I'm literally soaked in sweat here. I'm hot, dirty, tired, frustrated, but I told you I would give you some options here, what you think I should do. There's basically 4 options here. So the first option is, because not fixing it is not an option. I'm not gonna leave those header bolts broken off in there and then just drive, it's gonna leak. Eventually it's gonna leak. It may not leak with just the back ones broke off. I have seen that a lot. That's pretty common on these things. but I'm gonna fix it. So the 4 options that we have, the first option being we take the heads off. Obviously we're gonna take some more stuff out of the way. We take the heads off, I take them to my local machine shop. They clean them up, deck them, make sure everything's good, and then pull those out. That's option number 1. Option number 2 is I pull it out and set it here, and which makes life a little easier on me. I'm not leaning over the side of the truck trying to scrape that gasket off, because I'm not sure if this is new enough. I think it probably is, where it has multi-layer steel gaskets, but if it doesn't and it has those graphite gaskets, those just suck to scrape off, and there's just more work. So, and I scrape all that off with a razor blade. So having it out here might be a better option. And then same thing, we take the heads to the local machine shop, they clean them up, get the old studs out, and then we put it back in. Third option is we take it out, the engine out, I load it in the back of my truck, I drive it down to my buddy's house, and we see if he can just get the bolt heads out, or sorry, the bolts out by welding a nut on there. That's an option. So, but I still have to pull the motor out because he doesn't have the ability to do it here. And the last option, so option number 4, and I think will probably what you guys will think is the best option, is I have a 6-liter sitting here. And the 6-liter came out of a 3/4 ton, actually a 1-ton truck, 1-ton dually. I yanked this out because I was gonna put it in my flat black Chevy truck over there. It was just kind of one of those things eventually we'll get to. I pulled this and a 2-wheel drive 4L80 that you see here out of that truck. And because it's been sitting here for a while, I thought, well, that could be an option. We would still have to take the heads off. There would be obviously more parts to buy that way. Because we would have to buy head gaskets. I would put a set of 243 heads on it that I've got setting over there. Same cam that I'm going to use in the 5.3 if we keep that option, and you'll see what that is later on. But I don't know, guys. Let me know what you guys think I should do, because I am literally, I'm really frustrated about this, because this was not the plan to work on this truck. It was literally just buy it, drive it, and whatnot. But I've been back and forth on whether I want to put a 4L80 in that truck, because we have to section quite a bit of the floor out to get it to fit. So if I keep the 5.3 out of this truck, put the 6-liter in it, and put the 5.3 and maybe a 4L60 in that truck, I don't have to hack up the floor. So I don't really know what I want to do. That truck would scoot with a 5.3 in it. I don't know, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I will put, if I can, I'll put a poll up here to vote on those 4 options and let me know what you guys think I should do. The cheapest option out of all of those would be taking the motor out, obviously, taking the engine to my buddy and having him just get the bolts out. And that may be the best option, because I don't have to buy like lifters and head gaskets and head bolts and whatnot. If I do any of the other options where I remove heads, whether I do it here or there, I'm gonna have to buy head gaskets, head bolts. I'm gonna have to buy, I'll probably buy lifters if I go that route here. I'll probably keep these lifters if I go this route. You know, there's some added expense here if I go that way. But either way, guys, I'm not in a time crunch. I don't have to have it running tomorrow, although it is frustrating because it was running, and then you start pulling stuff apart and seeing other people's, you know, bad doing, I guess you could call it. Be careful when you're buying a truck. Make sure that you know the person selling it. I'm the type of person that if I don't fix it, I will tell you if I've seen it, what's wrong with it. That's just the type of person that I am. And then when I fix stuff, I probably go overboard because I do too much, but I want it done correctly. And so if it doesn't work correctly, then I figure out a way to do it correctly, and then we do that. So either way, guys, just be careful when you're buying vehicles. Look under them. This truck ran so great. It really, other than it being loud and annoying me, when I started pulling stuff apart and seeing this hodgepodge of stuff, you know, I probably wouldn't even have noticed. I generally don't crawl under vehicles for the most part. I do look for rust, but I don't get, you know, I don't like crawl under and look at every little piece of electronics. So just be careful when you're out there buying stuff, guys. But if you are enjoying this, even though, you know, we weren't planning on it, I know a lot of you guys are liking this NBS stuff. By the time I'm finished, I may not want to work on another NBS truck, but like I said, I'm on no time crunch. So the Trans Am, guys, we're going to get there. I promise you. It's been here this long. It's not going anywhere. The OBS truck behind me, not going anywhere. The green truck, I might sell it when I'm done with this one because it's making me that crazy, these trucks. But either way, guys, if you are enjoying it, like always, please smash that thumbs up button. If you are not subscribed, guys, please go down there, hit that subscribe button. And while you're down there doing all that, make sure you ring that bell icon that notifies you every single time we drop a new video. And stay tuned to see what we get into next.